And there we are. Good morning. Well, here we are. Actually, wait a minute. There we are. Good morning. It is Red Friday Morning Caffeine. Dave Glovin and Randy Rhodes with you this morning. It is the 28th of September. The 28th of February. I don't know where my brain is at the last couple of days. Yesterday, I thought it was Wednesday, but it is Friday, the 28th of September, 2025. Any rumors that you heard that the Great Caffeine Challenge to go 2 or 3 days without coffee, March 29th, 30th, and 31st, has been canceled because there are too many of us that do not want to give up our caffeine for 3 days, even if you don't drink coffee. We're live on the Dave Glovin profile here on Facebook, and we're live on the channel, and we're still looking around for one other place that we will end up going live. So come join us. A lot of stuff to talk about, the same stuff to talk about, but hopefully news director Randy Rhodes has lined up a whole lot more stuff to talk about this morning. Good morning, Mr. Rhodes. Oh. Turn your mic on. I can't hear you. Nope. Nope. Let's try this. Oh, wait a minute. No, there.
Oh, you had me.
I had it muted.
It's your fault. That's your fault. It's all you. Okay.
It was my fault. It's always on me. If it's not on me, then it's on Jerry because Nikki didn't do it for him. So here today, it's on me.
So first off, let's get to the point as to why Dave and I are wearing red shirts. And it's because this is Red Shirt Friday. This is the day that I don't know but the powers to be decide to take Friday to honor all the men and women in uniform who are in a military outfit. I'm not sure if the police officers and the fire workers and the ambulance workers have their own take.
I included them in it just because I did, but a lot of them are in blue uniforms because that's what they wear.
So we're wearing red, and I can only imagine the red. It's red for turds, I believe. But anyways, let's not forget the men and women who right now, thanks to President J. Trump, appear to be getting not ready for combat, as opposed to if it was Biden still in the office or Kamala Harris. Appears that Zelensky is going to be coming to the White House either today or sometime next week to be, I hate to say it, to be forced to sign a peace treaty because Trump is cutting off the money and the military equipment going to his country. He just said we have enough. We've been paying 4 to 5 times that of any other country or group of countries. And he said that's not right. Okay, just because we are a larger country and more wealthy in sense, we shouldn't be paying $400 billion a year to Zelensky's war. So he's cutting off the money train, and which obviously is going to bring an end to Zelensky staying in power. So, the deal is that, as I understand it, as the last time this has changed, is that the United States is going to get access, primary access to all the vital minerals inside Ukraine's borders, what's left of them,
50%.
oil, gold, and other minerals and stuff like that.
Right.
It's supposed to be close to $1 trillion worth of value. And the reason why is Trump said that we are to be paid back the money that we gave, plus to be paid back for the equipment we gave, which is only makes sense.
It was also to understand that the money, I believe, that both countries make is going into a rebuilding fund. So it's not like Zelensky. Well, Zelensky is supposed to be gone when this takes place. I believe that there is supposed to be another presidential election in Ukraine. Whether or not that will happen, I don't know. Uh, but that money is primarily going to be used to rebuild Ukraine, from what I understand, to keep, I guess, the piece of Ukraine
Correct. Correct.
that they won.
Correct.
Also, Zelensky has said that he would like Ukraine to be in NATO,
And
and
Trump said no.
well, right, he was willing to step down. Both Trump and Putin said no, although other European countries have said yes. I believe Germany has said yes. I believe England has said yes. They listed a whole bunch of them that had said yes. So it's possible that if it comes up to a vote, that Russia and the United States might not be able to keep
Well,
Ukraine
no,
out.
no. I think with Russia and the United States holding the primary position for voting, if the two of them say no, it's a dead deal. Even if 8 or 10 other countries say yes, the United States and Russia, and as well as China, I believe, have a right to vote, and they're primary voters. So if they say no, it's a done deal.
Well, I don't know, because I don't know how, if our vote or any other superpower vote carries more weight than any other member. That I don't know, but there could be enough members in Europe that would vote okay. And if they do, I'm not sure what happens, primarily because the reason President Trump has said no is that he prefers that the European countries band together and help all of the other European countries. I don't know how that works with NATO, because NATO is a lot of European countries and the United States of America. So some Asian countries, because China's there and Russia's there. So I mean, I really don't know. They have to have peace together. So I don't know whether or not they do it through NATO, or they do it as some kind of European Union thing, and they all band together, because there's nothing to say that just because Putin is told you get what you won, you don't get any more, that he's going to all of a sudden go and launch something again. Because I don't believe that the United States is going to fly over. Well, they may fly over to Russia and drop a few bombs on because our new ally, Ukraine. But I don't believe that they're going to get into a war with Ukraine. I mean, a war with Russia over Ukraine. We're trying to get out, like you said. But anyway, continue on.
Yeah. Uh, so at this point, I think Russia is best suited trying to grab as much land as he can before the end of the week, so he can retain ownership to it. As I understand, a day or two ago, he had a huge onslaught of drones and did a lot of damage. So let's see what happens. The
Yep.
war is coming to an end. Thankfully, our soldiers have uh, uh, missed the going to war, and I'm sure they're not displeased by that. I mean, who wants to go to war and take a chance of not coming home? I have a friend who's U.S. Coast Guard, been with U.S. Coast Guard like 30 some plus years, and I talked to him about the U.S. Coast Guard lady who got canned for her position on transgenders and so forth, and he was very
Right.
happy to hear it. So he's all for it,
Yeah.
as well as the removal of transgenders from the military. So there are people out there who are happy. Also,
Yep.
I'm going to hit this first. Someone transition to something different. But my wife's
Right.
father was in the Navy. He's in the Navy
Yeah.
4 years. Got married, and then no, I apologize. He didn't get married while he was in the Navy. He was in the Navy. He saw my mom, my wife's mom, fell in love, and her father, who was Mennonite, said that he's okay with her marrying him, but he cannot be in the military. So her father, as much as he loved the Navy, stepped out of his Navy uniform and into the bridegroom's
Mhm.
clothing and got married. And so,
Good.
but uh, it's weird how as a family member, there's some things that you keep to yourself even after someone passes. You go in and you try and find stuff that you want out of the home that you want to keep for yourself. And one of the things my wife did was she kept um, her father's manuals for the Navy. It's their
Mhm.
like any military, it's just not all about here's a rifle, here's a tank, here's a plane, and teach you how to use those. There's also a lot of book work, a lot of education going into and why you are, who you are, and why you're doing what you're doing. And so we have these.
Yep.
Um, they're called the Blue Jackets Manual, um, and this one here happens to be all about rope tying, how to use different types of equipment. It has pictures back in the day. It's really neat. This one here actually teaches you how to have correct hygiene, because that was a big thing in the military. Make sure you shave
Yes.
correctly, you brush your teeth, you take a shower, and you don't stink. Uh, Even to a point to where when I was in the Air Force, um, uh, we were not allowed to shave until we had a class on shaving, believe it or not, because there was a correct
Mhm.
way of shaving, especially for the African American soldiers, because of their hair. If they shave incorrectly, it actually leaves a little bit of hair behind, and it curls. And it's after that,
Okay.
you can't get it out. You can't cut it away. So they had to, just like the white people, had to go through training on how to properly shave,
Okay.
which is kind of weird when you think about it. Um, Again,
Yep. I guess I can't be
uh,
in the Navy.
yeah, with you having a beard and no beard and having this one here I really like.
Right.
Um, this one here actually has a whole bunch of pictures of all the various training, shooting a rifle exercises, marching, uh, being on duty on board ship. It does not have her father's pictures here, but I do have a bunch of pictures. I'm not going to
Okay.
share them now, but when I was
You.
in the Air Force, our version of this book would have been um, pictures of us getting off the bus at the Lackland Air Force Base, pictures of us getting our haircuts and so forth, sort of like a yearbook of sorts, like a high school yearbook, which I still have mine, which is pretty cool. But having said all that, folks, keep your, especially if you have someone who was actively in the military, give them an extra hug, a kiss, an extra "I love you," because they are special, and they never know when. Even if you're a reservist or you are Coast Guard or National Guard or something like that, and you still have your 4 years after the fact that you're responsible for active military duty, give them an extra hug because they never know when they might get called back up. And having said all that,
I don't.
I'm done with that. Um,
Okay.
let's go on to ever since earlier this week when the Congress had their meeting about the UFOs and flying saucers and aliens and so forth. My particular news feed has been blowing up with all these military um, radar contacts with the flying saucers and chasing
Mhm.
them and so forth. So, folks, uh, do we know when they're going to actually land and say hi and eat us, or say hi and give us their technology so we can start flying around like the Jetsons? I don't know. Um, I hope it's the latter, not the former, because I don't want to be eating. I wouldn't taste that good.
I don't
Um,
think they want. I don't think they want that.
I know. I
They
know.
may. They may capture us and use us for slave labor to get our
Yeah.
to get our mining done and all of that stuff. And
But when
But
when you
I don't think they want to eat us. I think they know better that we're not going to be the appropriate diet for them
yeah,
anyway.
yeah, we might give them we might give them indigestion.
Right.
Um, So our militaries has been gearing up. Has been getting some new Navy ships, getting some new neat aircraft, jet fighters, helicopters. SpaceX has been gearing up for his ultimate goal to go to Mars. Um, he has this really neat spaceship that he uses to test going into actual space, not just orbiting the planet, but actually flying into space. And he was able to successfully do that. My only question, I don't know if anyone has a good answer for it, is we see all these alien spacecraft, and they're almost always circular in shape or something like that, and their propulsion appears to be underneath the craft itself, where ours is always in a rocket shape, like a torpedo shaped craft. I mean, even Elon Musk latest Starship, it looks like a torpedo in this shape. And it has the propulsion is at back the bottom of it, like a rocket, taking off. Um, why haven't we been able to just design a craft like you have your hovercrafts, and they can take up, and they can float across the ground. Why can't we design a ship that is circular in shape, and the propulsion is underneath, and it flies up and it takes off like that instead of this damn torpedo shaped thing?
I don't know where the propulsion is on it, but there are pictures of something that looks like some kind of advanced fighter that resembles what could be some kind of a flying object that I guess, could go into space. Something similar to what George Jetson had before it folded up into a briefcase. But I know that is out there. I haven't heard much about it. I just have seen pictures of it here and there. But I also had watched a YouTube video recently that said Elon does not want to move to Mars because evidently there's some kind of Mars boogeyman that likes to dine on humans, or they believe might like to dine on humans, and may not be might be very receptive of humans all of a sudden being on Mars because it would feed them. Again, you have to watch most of the YouTube videos that you watch these days because some are done with AI and CGI and just completely off. It's like any of the ones you see uh, about Baron Trump are whether it's Barron has held himself like a complete gentleman, which is how he is reported to be, even though he is a Trump. Unfortunately, all of them tend to be off, that he didn't actually make any of them. And in the last one that I watched, I would tend to believe that because if he was involved in making them, his mother's name, Melania, was said millennia, and another one 3 different ways in the video. And if he'd been involved in it and he was watching the final cut and noticed that his mother's name was mispronounced 3 different times, he might have gotten very mad and it would have been corrected.
I know
But
CGI is a wonderful tool, but it's also a very dangerous tool. My wife saw this video of what was supposed to be Baron Trump singing on stage, right?
yeah,
And she got all excited. She was so happy. She shared it out to a half dozen people. And I went downstairs to my wife. I said, "Darling, oh sweetheart, you didn't share that out."
yeah.
She said, "Yeah, I shared it. This is a phenomenal. He's Baron. I know you've seen that. That
I
wasn't Baron Trump. That's CGI."
Well, it was the same thing with me. The first one that I watched was Baron on a commercial flight, and before the plane left the ground, the pilot got ballistic that he didn't want Barron Trump on the plane. And there were all kinds of whatever that Barron wasn't, that, he wanted Barron off the plane, to where he literally walked up and got into Barron's face and said, I want you off. And people that know Barron Trump reported back to me that, why would he get on a commercial flight? I mean, he could if he wanted to, but I mean, he's a Trump. He has use of Trump Marine One. Why would he waste his time getting on to a commercial flight when Donald Jr. and the other person that went with him up to Greenland to scope out that possibility? They didn't take a commercial flight. They took Trump Force One, I believe, out of Florida. So I don't know. I did see one AI of Clint Eastwood at 94 years old taking a local developer to court for encroaching on his land, which is actually true. There was a case. Cameras were not in the courtroom, and I am assuming that Mr. Eastwood allowed the AI to be made because it was 100% accurate of what actually went down. So if people were going to do something like that because a camera wasn't there, and they have the permission of the people involved to make a reproduction of it, that to me would be okay. But when you're just making a cartoon that you have to admit at some point really didn't take place, then what's the point? But they're going to continue to do it because, like you said, the technology's out there. It's very easy to do it, and hopefully they're going to make one that trash talks Barron Trump, and he's going to get mad. And the way Barron is, I actually don't believe that he would get mad. I mean, yelling and screaming and all this stuff people want to see. I just think very politely, in his way of being an 18-year-old man who, seems to understand the world around him and what's going on, and understands that he's a Trump, understands that he doesn't have to get loud. He can speak in a calm and rational voice.
Personally, I think if anything, he would get even, but in a unique, sophisticated, intelligent way of getting even back at a person. But the quiet ones, the ones you have to watch out for, and it's like my grandson is extremely quiet, extremely quiet. Doesn't talk much, doesn't do it, doesn't interact with the people around him, and uh, it's spooky in a way because you expect your children to be active, to be talkative, interacting with those around, and then to find one that is extremely quiet. Um, uh,
I think if he said that he wanted to speak to the reporters, he wanted to be at a press conference, he wanted to answer questions, I think as long as the press conference, Caroline Levitt, the press secretary, had control of the press conference, if he was my son, I'd say fine. Matter of fact, if he was my son and I was in the White House and available to go down and watch with him, I probably would go down and watch with him. And if they're trash talking my son and being rude to him, I think I would say you got to treat him with respect. He is my son. You took your headphones off for a second. Is something wrong? I know my dogs did start barking.
hang on, we'll try something.
I think people left the house, or we're getting ready to leave the house, so the dogs bark. The dogs are barking.
Can you still hear me?
I can hear you fine.
I'm just going to take these off because the dog's barking right into my head. My ears is a little bit too loud for me.
Can you hear? You can still hear the broadcast,
I got a
right?
speaker bar here, so
I know that you have a sound bar, a speaker bar that doesn't interfere. Okay, great. I just want to be sure. They people are getting ready to leave, or they might have already left. I'm not sure. So they tend to do that when people leave, and then they tend to do it when people come back.
It's also the breed of the dog. We years ago we had a Siberian Husky, and absolutely beautiful dog. He was a purebred. We got him from an Amishman, believe it or not, and absolutely beautiful dog. For the most part, he was quiet. Okay, but when he would get vocal, he would make the high pitch, whining noise like your dogs are making. But for the most part, he was very quiet. He wouldn't bark when people.
I know what it is. I know what it was. But go ahead, continue. But I do know what it was.
He wouldn't bark when people would come to the house to leave. So he wasn't a good guard dog. But he was an absolutely beautiful dog. He lived to be, I think it was 15, which is like 3 years longer than what a Siberian Husky is supposed to live.
Yeah.
But we eventually had to make the decision to put him down because he had dementia, and he would.
The dog with dementia. A dog with dementia.
Yes. The way you would know that is the dog walks into a room and can't find his way around, can't walk around to go back out the door. They tap their head against the wall, right? And there's a couple other symptoms of dog dementia, but we went to the vet for a problem for him, and they asked, how old is he? I said, well, he's 15. He said, oh my God. He said, said Siberian Huskies aren't really don't live beyond 12 years of age.
We have two purebred Huskies. We have a pit bull mix Husky.
Oh my God!
And we have. Everybody tells me. I mean, she has a pit bull face, but I swear to God, she's a golden retriever with just a bad attitude. Because she's a pit bull shepherd, but I swear to God, if you look at her, she does not look like.
Pictures?
I mean, if you look at her face, no. But if you look at her face, it does look like a pit bull's face.
Hi, Mrs. Glovin. How you doing?
Randy asked how you're doing.
Good.
She said good. She was drinking coffee.
Mrs. Glovin, how do you feel about the fact that
she can't hear you?
She
can't hear you, so I have to interpret. If you yell loud.
So tell her what I'm saying. How do you feel about your husband maybe being related to King David? If I want to put all the work into it.
Randy wants to know how you feel about the fact that I may be related to our most favorite king. I mean, our most favorite, but most famous King David. She doesn't know. She did get angry because I had used the word Polak when I described. No, I'm using the word. I said the word to say the word that I used. She did get angry because when she heard me use the word Polak about our Polish king, my Polish ancestor, who was king for 24 hours.
Oh, yeah.
So, because there are Polish people in her family. We don't know for sure in the Glovin family if they were Polish or they were Russian, because most of my youth and even up into my older ages, they said Prussia, which was the Russia-Poland border, which constantly changed, so no one really knew exactly where they were. But Harry Glovinsky, my grandfather's birth certificate, does in fact say Russia. So, that's what they claimed on his birth certificate when he came here. So So my apologies for using that word. Uh, but Randy does want to know what you think that there may be some royalty on the Glovinsky side of the family.
Well, that's nice for you.
She said, that is nice for me. I don't believe that, like you said, it was like the 15th great grandfather was actually the one who was the 24-hour king of Poland. Uh, that does interest me, though, because if it's trickled down and say I'm the heir to the throne in Poland, if they still have a king, which I don't, I think they have a democratic government, but if they still have a king of Poland and it were to come down to me and I was told that I am the king of Poland, even though it's kind of like the king of England, I don't know if I would accept it. I mean, I might because it's family tradition. If I'm the king, I'm the king. But uh, I uh, I wouldn't really want to be that much involved in just maybe being the final person who says yes or no on things that the government does, kind of like the president.
I
But
was,
and I wouldn't move to Poland either, so I probably couldn't be the king
I
anyway.
was very surprised to see how many rabbis there are on your side of the family. Uh,
Well, back then, most rabbis were Orthodox Jews. And actually, I believe Ashkenazi, which maybe actually be equal to or above. Uh, but most rabbis were Orthodox, which was the top tier of the Jewish religion. And most of, I believe, all of the Glovinskys that I know were Orthodox or raised Orthodox. Whether or not they ever went to conservative or reform, I don't know. The only reason my parents did it was in a 5-year period, we moved 7 times. And my parents, in becoming members of the local synagogue, had a choice. It was either conservative or reform. And they really didn't raise us as Orthodox Jews at all. Uh, Raised us, like I said, however the local synagogue was. So
you know, when
that's where I got my roots in becoming a conservative.
you,
You
you
know,
know,
I was raised as a conservative Jew most of my
you know,
life.
it's
Go
kind
ahead.
of weird how uh, the Jewish people are supposed to be the chosen ones of God. How throughout history, you guys have taken a kicking. I mean, you actually, obviously, you guys survived everything that you gone through. Your people, but just imagine how many more Jews would be alive today if Hitler didn't do what he did, or if God didn't allow the surrounding nations to continually invade Israel and take you guys prisoner and so forth. And um, I mean, I assume there's a purpose into making you guys a stronger nation for all your experience. But holy shit, if I had a father who supposedly loved me and kept kicking my ass every day to teach me a lesson, I think I find myself a new father.
If if I haven't done really a deep enough look into what kind of person our King David was. I do know that he was our favorite king. I know he's the one that had the scuffle with Goliath.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
probably would have the same kind of scuffle, but not wanting to get beaten up by him, but the same kind of scuffle because once I knew where I stood with Goliath, I probably would make Goliath my head of security because no one wanted to mess with Goliath. But you know, uh, it I just like joking around about it because for the longest time I did bother you that you didn't find any
Yeah,
any royalty.
so I'm gonna have to
Or
work. I'm gonna spend a couple hours today working on this King David thing. Um,
Okay.
I have
I know you said you have someone else that
yeah.
does have,
This
and that
guy.
would be
Let me see
interesting.
his name on his article here. Here you go. So this one here is the guy is actually a rabbi. Rabbi. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to pronounce that name. Um, so
Okay.
it's a he's a rabbi. Um, anyways,
Okay.
he's related to Saul Katzenelnbogen, the guy who was king for a day. Okay, so the fact that this rabbi is related to him means this rabbi is also related to you. Okay.
Okay.
And in his article about being the king for a day, his this rabbi's grandfather, Mr. Herman Landau of Toronto, which means he would also be related to you.
Oh my God, I
Uh,
have Canadian resident. I
right.
have Canadian
Uh,
relatives.
so,
Oh
uh,
goddamn, we got to make them the 51st state right away.
I'm coming to that. Hold that thought, okay? So, this Herman guy uh, is a genealogist, and he did the family tree, which got him back to King David. So all that, this rabbi, this Herman, being related to you means that King David is also related to you. I just have to add in all the people between you and these guys and start making those connections. Now it's going to be days doing that,
Oh,
but I have this as
no,
my
yeah.
backdrop, so I want to use that. But
What do you
talking
have?
about Canada, okay.
Okay.
Um, uh, Trump was in the meeting with the leadership, and one of the reporters, in fact, you know what? Hang on a second.
Take your time.
Hang on a second. Let me grab my phone here.
Take your
Blah, blah,
time.
blah, blah,
Take
blah,
your
blah,
time.
blah, 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 blah. Let's see if we can
Take
hear
your
this,
time.
guys. Okay. I don't want that. Do, 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 do,
Probably
do.
told you he's not related to me at all. No.
Here it is. Okay. Okay. Tell me if you can hear this. Okay.
I can hear it.
Yes, please. Last week, I spent some time with two government officials from Canada. And I asked them how realistic is it that Canada would be the 51st state. Yeah. And they told me there is a path. Alberta is first, and if they sign on, Saskatchewan would follow, and then you go west to British Columbia. There is a movement in Canada to join us. I want to get your thoughts on that and how that's proceeding.
So it's true. Thank you, Brian. It's true. A lot of people in Canada are liking becoming our beautiful, cherished 51st state. They'll have to pay much lower taxes. They'll have the ultimate security. You know, they don't pay very much for security right now because they rely on us, which is really unfair to us. They make cars that we could make, and they send them back into the United States. They make a lot of things, including.
So he just goes on about the economics, but this reporter said that. Uh,
Actually, I'm sorry I cut you off, but actually, in the case of cars being made in Canada, I'm sure he does because Ford makes cars in both Canada and Mexico. And often, when they didn't want to sell them in the United States anymore, they moved it to another country and sold it over there rather than stopping making them. But I understand in Canada, I think Larry Burns said they make the Ford F-150 pickup truck, which is Ford's most popular pickup truck. We make the bulk of them here in the United States, I think. I don't know, but it's possible that Mexico may be making the F-150 electric truck. I don't believe many of them are being made here in the United States, only because Ford still owns their electric vehicle group, but they blew it. They sort of extracted it from Ford to the side and made it kind of separate because they lost something like $1 billion in the first 3 months of 2024 and just didn't want to take a chance on it being a big drain on
so,
Ford.
anyways,
But go ahead.
what the report was saying is, I guess there's three areas of Canada who are very much interested in joining the United States. I guess there's like four, I guess.
Okay.
So the trend is that people like the idea of becoming part of our country. I mean, there's a lot gained. Well, I understand the whole thing about loyalty to your country and so forth, but the same could have been said when England was going through its tirage of invading every single country and they could win a battle against. And look at all the countries that England had under its crown at one point.
Right.
So,
Right.
for Canada, to become part of the United States, I think it only makes sense. I think they'll benefit from it.
But there are economic benefits, yes, but you have to also take into effect that just because 4 provinces of Canada say to the Canadian government, we're going to change the border and the Trump wall is going to go around us and we're now part of the United States, I don't think it's going to be as easy for them to do so for the same reason that Vladimir Putin is now going around and trying to reclaim all of what was Russia when Mikhail Gorbachev said, "Do you want to be free? Be free."
Yeah, but Putin is going about it wrong in a wrong way. He's going about it in the form of combat, whereas Trump he sees an opportunity to apply economic pressure on a country that's already reeling with all kinds of problems financially to make them decide. I mean, look at what their prime minister did during the time when all the truck drivers were revolting because of the treatment they were having. I mean, my God, the guy took their damn money out of the GoFundMe money. He took away, their way of, they heat their trucks and fuel for their trucks. I mean, that's not the way a leader of a nation that takes care of his people.
No. Well, it is. Well, no, it's not the way you want the leader of your country to take care of. But Justine Castro was just showing his Castro roots. His father should be proud of him wherever he is. The other thing I don't understand is that if he really is the son of Castro, why isn't he talking to his uncle Raul, who I think is running Cuba now, and have Cuba take them over? Although Cuba is probably not anywhere, Cuba's not wealthy enough to support them. It'd probably be the other way around, that Canada would take over Cuba, but I don't think that would happen. They're communist, and well, who knows what they are in Canada. I'll have to ask Larry the next time he's on. But I mean, it's interesting, but I just think that when you start, even if you put 4 Canadian provinces together as one state and say that those 4 Canadian provinces are bigger than the United States proper, the 48 states here that are connected together, or 49 because Alaska is connected to us. Hawaii is not. So when you look at that and you look at the Electoral College, you're going to give probably the largest number of electoral votes to that state, and that state could pretty much control presidential elections forever. And if it's a stunt just to get in under the Democrats supporting them just to get those votes, and they don't, I mean, I just think it's more complicated than it is, and I think it's kind of wishful thinking because it's not the president of the United States says, great, I'll make you the 51st state, because he can't do that. It's got to go through the House. It's got to go through the Senate. He may be the one who signs whatever bill or law into effect that allows it to happen, but it's not his decision. And we've got a lot of crap going on here in the United States that we need to think of and we need to take care of. We need to get to the final accounting of Doge, the Elon Musk Doge, and figure out what has to be paid back and what doesn't, and get us down to, enough money to operate us before we start adding to us that we have to take care of that. Go ahead.
No, let me ask you this. You're talking about Doge. Supposedly, at some point when they get to a certain dollar amount of getting money back, that Trump and Elon Musk is talking about giving some money back to us, the taxpayers. The amounts I've heard is between 5,000 and 7,000, and I also heard 20% of whatever the profit that they come across. Do you feel that's a strong possibility, or that's just them talking out of their ass?
I think something is a possibility, and I think to say that it could be $5,000 to $8,000, which is what I heard per person, yeah, it's a possibility. But the problem is when you start saying you're going to get a refund check for somewhere between $5,000 and $8,000, every single American in the United States, including myself, goes crazy thinking about, okay, I got somewhere between $5,000 and $8,000 coming, and what am I going to do with it? My wife has somewhere between $5,000 and $8,000 coming, if it does. So between the two of us, we have somewhere between $10,000 and $16,000 as a husband and wife coming. What are we going to do with it, or what could we do with it? So yeah, I mean, it's great, but if that 20%, as far as a Doge refund, doesn't happen because because Congress decides to use it all to pay down the debt or eliminate the debt, I don't know if that's the better move. Either. Plus, the other thing is that I'm so screwed up because I've looked at the Clinton executive orders that created Doge. I've looked at the Obama executive orders that changed it a little and made it the way he wanted it to be. And then I look at the executive orders under Donald Trump that changed it to do what I believe it was created to do. You got a lot of Democrats that are going, you guys shouldn't be doing this. But then I get a lot of Democrats who say to me, yeah, we understand. It's, those two created it to be able to use it to find money that they could do what they did with it.
I just think that the Democrats are upset because we finally found where all the damn money is going, and it's not going to where it's supposed to be going. And there's going to be people who are going to be paying the price for it.
But I think the other side of it is everybody had to report, and everybody who's complaining that they don't want to report to Doge, they don't want Doge to know how much they have, this, that, the other thing, are all the organizations that under Clinton and Biden, under Clinton and Obama, were going to report. So they would have known where there was extra money that could be abused however they wanted to abuse it, and it would have continued. It just would have, they wouldn't have had to do any work trying to figure out where the money was. They would have been told where the money was, and they would have used it however they wanted to use it. I don't think when Bill Clinton created it, I don't think Bill Clinton was thinking there would ever be a Republican president who would come in and say, hey, We're spending a boatload of money. We owe a boatload of money. We need to figure out why. John Kennedy is the one who created USAID, and he didn't create it to be abused by anybody, Republican or Democrat, the way it's being abused. And, it's like a lot of the Democrats that are up in arms and their heads are exploding every day are people that all of a sudden show up in the press that they abused it. Today, I read a report that Jamie Raskin, I believe from New York, is now has a claim that he received $160 million. He got some. No, let's get every American in court in the United States gets their day in court to explain whether they're guilty or not, at least what they believe they're guilty or not. So to go to the House, whatever committee is responsible for having hearings, and explain what he took the money for and what he did with it, turn the receipts in. And, if it was the right thing, then he's got nothing to complain about. If he took $160 million and then used it to bribe other Democrats and Republicans to continue doing what USAID was doing, no, he's wrong. But, he's one of them that harps on Republicans for doing everything wrong. I don't want to hear about how much money Adam Schiff may be accused of getting, because as far as I'm concerned, Adam Schiff violated his right to be in government during the 2 Trump pardons when it was proven beyond the shadow of a doubt that Adam Schiff lied, and that just about all of the evidence that Adam Schiff tried to pin on the president is bogus. It was all created by Hillary Clinton. It may have been created by Putin, because everybody believes that Putin attacks every election we've ever had. But that's, whether or not that will ever be proven or not.
So what do you think about the one court saying that many of the pardons that Joe Biden handed out are illegal and are not valid?
Me not knowing the full extent of what the Constitution says, with my limited understanding, you can't pardon someone who has not been charged, and I believe has a sentence. So Hunter Biden's pardon might end up being okay because Hunter was found guilty. I just don't believe he was sentenced. The rest of them got executive clemency, which basically says you're not guilty for things that happened. He decided to give them for. The problem with the Constitution is it says you can't be charged. You can't be given a pardon for a crime that you have not been charged for yet. So yes, those five executive clemencies are unconstitutional. I don't understand enough about Hunter Biden was found guilty. I don't believe he was sentenced yet, but if he was found guilty, that doesn't mean anything. He could be able to be pardoned. He shouldn't be able to be pardoned because he's only being pardoned because his laptop exposed that he was involved, his father was involved, other Democrats were involved, other countries were involved. He's guilty. So he can't, if you pardon someone and you go into court and you lie about whatever you were pardoned for, you lose your pardon. So if he couldn't have gotten a legal pardon, then he doesn't deserve one. And like I said, to the best of my knowledge, he is guilty. He just was not sentenced. I believe there was a plea bargain at one point, but he decided not to accept it. But the other family members. until they're charged and tried.
I just think it's bullshit that a president can willy-nilly pardons like he did, just to protect people from being arrested and thrown in prison for crimes they committed. That to me, that's just wrong. You shouldn't have that ability to do that.
It is wrong. And it's disgusting because regardless of who the president is and what party they are, they did things illegal against the American people. And you should not be able to pardon your family for breaking the law. Period. You got a speeding ticket. You can't get pardoned for getting a speeding ticket. You pay. But so that's where I stand on that. The toss-up going back and forth on whether or not the USAID or what's left of USAID under the State Department is responsible for issuing money that has already been assigned to whoever while we investigate and prove whether or not it was illegal to give that money and or all of that. To me, that's bull excrement. Why? Because those people could get a hold of all of their money and spend it and have no way of returning it. And I don't care if someone is guilty, but if they got $60 million, they owe some money because they're never going to be able to pay it back. To me, putting a person in jail at one time, in my thinking, putting someone in jail for life doesn't correct anything other than you take someone out of civilian population and you put them in prison where we clothe them, feed them, give them all kinds of stuff to occupy their time until they die, but we have to pay for it, is a complete and utter disgrace as far as I'm concerned. I think depending on what the crime was, they sit in a chair and get electrocuted, or they get a needle in their arm, or however they want to do it. I mean, you can give a person the option on how they want to do it. If they want to grab a cup and drink something and die, I don't care. But, if you did something that bad, you deserve to die and not have a pretty much cushy life in prison. I mean, I know prison life is not said to be cushy, but, if you did something and you're 20 years old and it's bad enough that you shouldn't be here anymore, and you're going to live to be 80 years old, we're going to pay for you to be in prison for 60 years. No, it's not our, you did something wrong. Maybe you should have to pay to be in prison.
Oh, well, I know Trump has a lot on his plate and he has a lot that he wants to get done.
He does. He does.
I just think that right now the whole thing with the Epstein list, that was a bust, at least for right now. I'm not sure who released information, if that's what she wanted to be released, or if someone overstepped her and did something different. I understand she wants to protect the victims, and she has to be very careful what she puts out there, because it wouldn't take much to track down the victims in this case. But right now, I think Trump needs a slam dunk with the American people who voted for him, and that's either throwing someone in jail or the Epstein thing or the Fort Knox. He needs something big to happen. That's what I'm trying to say.
He does, but even if they read the list, like I said earlier, even if they read the list today, even if Jeffrey Epstein all of a sudden comes back from wherever he is and he stands before the cameras and he reads the list and he answers questions and he speaks, that person still has a chance to have their day in court and prove they're innocent or prove that they're guilty or just accept it. And the big mess that I see is that if she reads a list of between the House and the Senate, 600 names, which is would be just about everybody who's in the House or in the Senate. There's going to be some rough times because we'll never catch any of them. They probably all have their escape plans, or we'll go underground in the deep state and we'll just never find them. And so to me, the whole thing is a mess. I mean, I guess if you're in the House or you're in the Senate and she reads the list and your name is on the list, odds are your fellow congressmen and women and Senate men and women are most likely going to send you to the ethics committee to be investigated, and then send you to the appropriate committees that you have to have a hearing with, and then probably you're gone. And just because you're gone doesn't mean that you're in jail or you're convicted of treason, and you get the penalty right away. I mean, this is going to be, I think when this gets to court, it's not going to be as easy that people think that, we're going to line up millions of people before a judge who's just going to read the charges and go, how do you plead? And you say guilty, and he says guilty, boom, go to this room. Or read, you say not guilty, and he says, well, it looks like you're guilty here, so we got to send you to room number 2. I don't think it's going to go away that quick. And I don't know if people understand that it's not going to go away that quick. But go ahead. I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I hit my microphone.
No, that's okay.
No, I know I was a Debbie Downer when with the election and thinking that Trump may not make it, but he did. But right now, for me, I'm really pleased with what's going on. He needs. I don't know who's in charge, but he needs to reconnect to the people. Maybe get some cameras down on the border, showing how it's being repaired, how it's being built back up, how there's something going on there. I know I saw a video of a couple guys taking down a person who was trying to come across, so that was pretty cool. But he needs something to say, this is what we're doing. The southern border, is being built up, or we got these, and showing the wall being put back into place. And he needs, someone thrown in jail. I mean, you got Democrats in politics who are telling the people to kill, Elon Musk and other people. I mean, actually telling them go out there and kill them.
But okay, while it is disgusting, you have to remember there isn't anything illegal about saying EM should be killed. Facebook claims that it's against the rules to be killed, but it's not. And we can all argue that freedom of speech needs to be wherever it is. So everybody has a right to say this one should be tried for treason, and if they're guilty, they should be dealt with it. And unfortunately for them, it's execution, because that's the penalty for treason. They didn't want to pay for you to be in prison for 60 years. You were guilty, and guilty of something serious, so they did it. They're going to have to there's going to be a lot of military tribunals, because I believe treason is tried in a military court. It can be tried in a civilian court, and then it will get up to the Supreme Court. And if the Supreme Court says, no, it wasn't treason, I guess the only appeal may be to the military saying that under martial law, which may be what we're in now, because it appears that Trump at one point did sign us over to martial law. And if we're still in martial law, then the military has a right to have tribunals on treason. And as we've all said before, in a military court, you will not get the same justice that you think you're going to get in a civilian court. There's no judge shopping, hoping that you get a judge advocate general or a judge that says, no, I'm a Democrat, you're a Democrat, you're okay. It ain't going to happen. You're going to get a judge that says, my politics don't matter, your politics don't matter. The evidence proves that you did something. I have to punish you accordingly.
God, what was I going to say?
Go ahead.
I'm trying to think what I was going to say. Good Lord. Well, I went out the door. Okay, no, it's not. No, my mind has some blanks. Actually, a lady from this. I have a neurostimulator in my back. It's a device that sends electricity down my spinal column. It's supposed to help with my pain management. And to be honest with you, I haven't been using it properly. I've been relying on the pain meds, but the pain meds are starting to really have some effects on my memory and so forth. So I told my doctor that I want to get off the damn pills. So this lady called me and said, we need to get you scheduled because the battery that's in my back for the stimulator is getting ready to die. It has to be replaced anyways.
Could that be why it's not? Could that be why it's not working properly?
It's possible because I charge. It's a rechargeable battery. So I have this external device that I put on my on the area where the battery is, and I charge up. And it takes like 3 to 4 hours to charge up totally. But it is starting to wear out. It's very possible that might be the reason why it's not having as much of an effect anymore on it. But they have this new. The battery is computer generated. I mean, you can tell the battery what to do. Okay. So supposedly this new battery is going to be phenomenal. It's going to do all kinds of stuff. So I reached out to my doctor yesterday and said, okay, let's start getting off these pills so I can prepare for this new device, because it makes no sense to me to go through the surgery to have it replaced if there's not going to be a dramatic effect on my pain management. So I'm going to get off the pills, see where I'm at with my pain, and then get that device put into my back. But either way, it has to get replaced. So that's coming up for me. But I wanted to say something, and I totally forgot it. And I'm going to blame it on the medicine.
Or blame it on me because I kept talking.
Oh no, that's not a big thing. I am distracted a little bit because I'm, like anytime I'm here, working on genealogy while I'm talking. Well, actually, while you're talking, I'm working on it. I came across this damn image. I want to share it with you. I have reached out to the guy who placed it on your tree. So I reached out to the person who shared it to your ancestor to find out what in the hell this person has to do with you. This is a painting that was done during World War II at a concentration camp. So a Jewish woman did this is a self-drawn, this is her. Okay, this is her image. Okay, but I don't know why it is on this person's. Let me show you here. So this person here, this Kana Kane Rappaport, is your 8th great grandmother. So I don't know why this painting from 1940s and what it has to do with this lady back in the 1600s. So I reached out to the guy who put it there, who's a rabbi. Again, you missed your calling, dude. And
No,
here's
no.
your eighth great grandfather. The painting is kind of weird. That's the original there.
I like to sing a lot growing up, so I might have been a cantor, which is the one that leads, for lack of putting it better, hymns, prayers, and whatever.
Or you could have done what the other guy did. What's
during the service.
that famous singer that's Jewish? And
There's a lot of
his dad was
Sammy Davis Jr. was one.
His dad wanted to be a rabbi, and he
Neil Diamond.
Neil
Neil Diamond's father wasn't. Neil Diamond's father, I believe, wasn't. He might have been a rabbi, but I believe he was a cantor, and he was upset. He was upset that Neil took his calling, which could have been to be a cantor, and took it and went to be a singer. But he had if you think about your children and what they did with their lives, he had a fantastic life. Yeah. He went on, he did what he wanted to do. He wrote some very successful songs. If you listen to, there's a YouTube video of a concert, I forget where, and when he goes in to sing the song America, he has up on the monitor of his mother and his grandmother, and he talks about both of them for a minute or two, and then how his mother made the trip to America alone. Wow. And he wrote that song for her.
Oh wow! I know the song was phenomenally a huge success. I wasn't. It was the backstory. But I saw the movie about his life, and when his father finally showed up at one of the concerts, and he realized that his son really did have a talent to share to the world. Yep. But now his poor brain, what is it with so many famous Hollywood stars coming down with this damn mind disease?
I'm not gonna say it could have been alcohol, it could have been drugs. I don't know. My gut instinct more is that when you're putting your body through hundreds of hours a week of work while you're on tour, it's just, the 4 hours or 6 hours, if you even get that, of sleep every night is just torture. I mean, it's just absolute torture. I don't think we were created to do more than that. And then again, depending on how successful you are, you've got a large organization, you've got a lot going. Granted, you put people in there in different places that you trust, but at the end of the day, it's still you. His son, if you ever watched the show Saved by the Bell.
Okay. I'll be right back.
Okay, if you ever watched the show, anybody who's listening, if you ever watched the show Saved by the Bell, the boy with the black curly hair who played Screech, I can't remember his name, but he is Neil Diamond's son. I don't know of any other children that they had. I always thought the song Sweet Caroline was written about his wife, but off the top of my head, I can't remember who. No, actually, it was written about Caroline Kennedy. I don't know if he actually ever wrote any songs about his wife. I do know that at Boston Red Sox concerts up in Fenway Park, it's just a song the whole crowd, when he is up on stage, goes crazy about. I have not seen it. I have heard it. Drove people to a Red Sox game that stayed for the concert, of course. And it's just, he was phenomenal. But I just believe that it's the over abuse that you put on your body. It could also be genes. I don't hear of a whole lot of people coming down with Alzheimer's. That the majority isn't isn't Jewish or doesn't have some genes that were affected in them. There are other people in other religions that have it, so it's not just exclusive to Jews. I was always told that it's not hereditary, that your mother could have it, your grandmother could have had it. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have it.
Well, that's what
I always joke.
That's where
because my grandmother.
That's where
okay, but because
that's where I would disagree with you as
Okay,
far
go.
as hereditary. My wife's mom's side,
Well,
it's like 13 people in the family, and every single female in that
Right.
family came down with dementia, Alzheimer's.
Because people always said, or doctors always said, it's not hereditary. I don't know if they were just trying to make me think I would never get anything, but they just said it's not hereditary and it skips a generation. So when the doctors used to say that to me, I would go, well, if it skips a generation, that means my mother and my aunt wouldn't get it, and it would come down to the children. My aunt's son is adopted, so unless it is in his biological bloodline, or he just developed it, he's not likely to get it. And of my mother's 5 children, for some strange reason, I just decided that if anyone was going to come down with it, it was going to be me, maybe for just the way I lived my life and the things I did with my life and this and that, the other thing. I don't know. Lewy body dementia is little bodies of protein that take over your brain. And the only way to really confirm it is they've got to do an autopsy when you pass away and look at your brain and confirm what's there. It can be a terrible thing, meaning that if you read the books, it says 5 to 7 years. I'm 3 years into it. Could be longer, because the first time they wanted to give me an MRI, they got me into the tube, and in about 30 seconds, I said, if you don't get me out, I'm going to take the needles out and climb out, because I had the worst claustrophobic attack I've ever had. But my point is that, I don't know if they even know for sure, just because your mother had it, that you could get it, your grandmother had it, your mother could get it, you have it. On my father's side, I do know that that Nana had it as she got closer to passing away. My aunt, their oldest child, was bipolar. I don't remember when it was diagnosed. I don't know anything about my Uncle Larry ever having it. I probably wouldn't have heard it if he did, but he was a brilliant man anyway. He was just an absolutely brilliant man. And that's all. That's what I remember about him. My father, as far as I'm concerned, because I'm bipolar and I have dementia and I got Parkinson's, so I don't care. People can tell me to shut up if you don't believe me. Looking at how my father lived, how I lived my life, I'm convinced my father had it, but never wanted to be diagnosed, because he just didn't want people to know if he had it. He didn't want people to know that he had it.
Yeah, something like that. It's a hard, a couple of our TV shows that we watch. The storyline has some of the major characters coming down with dementia or Alzheimer's, and the characters are shown how it affects not only the person who has it, but the family members and friends around them, how they have to take care of them. And it's a sad storyline. And it's like there has to be some way of if not preventing it, at least treating it so it doesn't get worse.
Well, depending on which doctors you talk to, which doctor might be someone you might want to talk to, there are natural herbs that will treat some of it. Dr. Daniel Amen, Amen, did work on something that actually does a brain scan, and it shows different colors of your brain. And it shows, I don't remember the exact words, but different colors mean different things. And the bad things, you can either slow it down, sometimes you can stop it. I don't believe in the fact that you can stop it, but you can slow it down, and you can deal with it. Unfortunately, the brain scan, the last time I checked, was $1,500, and insurance companies won't approve it because they believe it's experimental medicine. You can see Dr. Amen a lot of times on the PBS membership broadcast, because they always bring him in because they give away his books if you buy a large enough membership in the stations. But he's a well-known guy. He's recognized in what he does. Unfortunately, insurance companies don't want to pay for it because maybe it will cure something that pharmaceutical companies are making $1 billion on that they really shouldn't be. But I don't really like to speak on that stuff. And R. David Hummel says, Dave Glovin, thank you for penting a senior's voice to express a more adult perspective about happenings in America. I'll tell you, David, to be honest with you, or R, whatever you want me to call you, I started these broadcasts. I don't come prepared most of the time to talk about what we're going to discuss, because the whole idea of sitting down and doing the research, and maybe it's because of the Lewy body and the dementia and everything else, it's just not comfortable to sit and try to do the research. So I made a point of trying to bring people onto the broadcast, and in most of the topics that we discuss, that know more than I do and can present something. And yes, I raise my voice a lot of times, and I try not to do that. And but I appreciate the comment. The little bit of knowledge that I have on Lewy body dementia is unfortunately what the textbooks say, and the textbooks say that usually it's 5 to 7 years from the diagnosis is when you go. But then again, on the other hand, I know that that's a crock of crap, because the oldest person that I've been able to read about it got it around 62, I think, which is when it showed up in me. And well, no, I don't remember when did they diagnose mine?
You were 60.
What?
You were 60.
It showed up when I was 60. So, see, I forgot that already. But it showed up when I was 60. He got it, I think he was 62. He didn't write much about how it affected his daily life. And while he did die from having Lewy body dementia, that wasn't what killed him. He had a heart attack and he died. So, my point was just to try to let people know that if you have it, and I'm the wrong person to say this to people, don't just hide yourself in your room every day from it. You can read about it on the internet all you want. You probably go to libraries and read about it all you want. Go out and live your life and enjoy it. And my wife was probably laughing hysterically behind me because I say that to everybody and I don't do it.
Speaking of
I
life,
lock myself in my room and I just do whatever I do.
Speaking of life, I have got to get going.
Yep. Okay.
I got some tools. I got to install my computer. I got my one client, right now my only client, was talking to
Ooh, I didn't know it was that drastic. I knew that you had
Yeah,
lost some. I didn't
I
know.
was at
Okay.
7. 2 dropped out temporarily because of having to get teeth worked out. A third, a yeah,
Teeth or
yeah,
genealogy.
and a third, her bank account was hacked twice, and her bank refuses to return the money, so she's on hiatus right now. Fourth one,
They can be. You don't want to get me
yeah,
even
a
talking
fourth
about that
one,
one.
he
I've
got
gone
locked
through
out
it.
of his
I've
bank,
gone through it
and he's
once.
trying to get back in. He did get a hold of me yesterday, last night, I should say,
Yeah.
and he does intend on coming back. He says he just got to get his bank squared away because something happened to his bank and he got locked out.
Yeah.
I'm down to one
Yeah.
paying guy. Um, uh, this is the guy that's from North Carolina. His name is Tom Vernon. His family,
Okay.
just like yours, his family has so much interesting stuff. Uh, uh, his direct lineage was an admiral in the English Navy, and he was
Ooh.
responsible for the whiskey being taken away from the sailors because he found that they were more drunk than they were sober. So, he was
Yeah.
responsible for refusing the whiskey on board the ships. But a lady from North Carolina, I mentioned last night on the show. Um, I got this phone call. It was North Carolina area code, so I thought it was him calling me. So I answered
Yeah.
it. Turns out it was a woman who is related to him through one of the branches. So
Yep.
he did reach out to me. They talked for over 2 hours,
Good.
and they got some good information. So now now that
He,
he has this information, I
he,
have to go back on his tree and start adding in that lady's family,
yeah.
so they have more to talk about. So at least I have him going on, but
Yep.
I'm trying to get more. Folks, if you want a study of your family history, I am your person because I love it
You
so
are.
much. You can ask Dave. Dave here's one of my people that
You are.
I'm helping.
Yep.
Um, but
Yep.
Gerald Michaels of the American Rebellion, Nikki Young was
Yep.
with me for a while. He's
Yep.
American Rebellion. I did his family tree. Daryl of American Rebellion, I did his family tree. So I've got a
Yep.
lot of people who know me, who trust me, who enjoy my work, and I'm very, 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 very affordable.
He
It
is.
works out to like
He is.
$3 an hour as opposed to a 35
Yep.
or $45 an hour. But yes, I got it going. I just drank my
Yep.
second cup of coffee, so I have to go back downstairs and do a refill.
Only your second?
Yeah, yeah,
Only your second?
yeah,
We've been
yeah. I'm
together for an
behind.
hour and a half, and you only drank two?
Yeah, I am
I'm ashamed of
behind.
you.
I'm behind. Yes.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah.
So actually,
I have one of these because we posted them on a website that Jen had, and when they notified me that they weren't going to print anymore and they only had one left, I have one, and it's in a box. I will contact you later because I need an address to send it to you.
because
I don't care if you
actually
use it or
have.
not, or break it, or do whatever you want with it. But
So Jen,
but
Jen is a very generous woman. She
she
wanted
is.
to when we were trying to get something to work out together.
Yep,
She did
I know.
some mugs for me, and
Yep.
it turned out was just a name going on the top. Now these are metal, and they'll keep the coffee hot for at least 3 hours. Okay, so
Also
then
work
she
good as
went
a
and
wine mug.
yeah, she almost and then
They
she went.
do.
She created
They're
this one
they're
here for me.
marketed. They're
It's
marketed
really neat.
for both. Yep. Yep.
She took my logo, which is this is my mother's
Yep.
home that she grew up
Yep.
in.
I remember that
So
picture.
Jen went and put this on the mug, along with my saying about give me 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
so I'm thinking I keep forgetting. My mind is so full of hosts. I want to reach out to Jen to find out if she kept the design for the cups, and to find out how much they cost. And then next time someone pays me, I might just buy a few, and then use them as handouts to my friends and so forth. And no, your donuts aren't ready yet. Your cupcakes, they're not back
That's
from
okay.
vacation.
The cupcakes aren't ready either, I guess.
No, the cupcakes. I didn't mean. I meant to say cupcakes and donuts. They're on vacation. There's nothing new about that.
Oh,
That's
I
right.
know. I just like teasing
Yeah,
you
well,
about it.
unfortunately, it's things like that.
I
It
know.
goes against
Oh,
the
don't
grain.
worry about
But
it.
anyways, I have to get going.
Don't worry
I
about
got
it.
things to do.
All right.
Today was what, Thursday, right?
Okay.
No, today's Friday.
Today is Thursday.
Today's Friday. Good Lord.
No, today. Yeah, don't do that because, like I said, yesterday was
Yeah.
Thursday, and I
You were
looked at
thinking Wednesday.
my clock. I was thinking it was Wednesday, and I looked at my clock, and I wondered why I hadn't gotten a link from anyone yet. Yeah, a link from the 7 o'clock group to be on with them when I realized everybody was waiting for my link. So yeah. So no, today is Friday the 28th.
So let me get going here.
2025.
And, we'll talk later. If I can find out more about King David or there's other things,
whatever you
I'll
find.
reach out to you.
When you have time, and when you have time, we'll do it. All right, take care, Randy. Always a pleasure. Randy Rhodes, all roads lead to home. Genealogy, that's Rhodes, Rhodes. There is a group on Facebook. Message Randy Rhodes because I'm not sure. There was a group that he had. It got somehow hacked. He was having trouble getting it back from Facebook, so he had created a second group, the original Our Roads Lead to Home Genealogy. So message Randy Rhodes on his Facebook profile, and he'll tell you which one of the two groups you want to be in. Tonight at 7 o'clock, as I said, catch the American Rebellion. I am not sure where it is going to be, but you will find it. You will find it. And everybody that's watching it will make sure that you find it. So, or message Jerry and ask him where it's going to be tonight. Or if I hear from Jerry where it's going to be, I will try to post something if I remember. But the American Rebellion is tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. And I can't tell you how late it's going to go because sometimes it goes late and sometimes it doesn't. So I honestly can't tell you. I will probably be off it, and I mean tonight that I will actually be off it at 9 o'clock. So if it continues past 9 o'clock, I will be off it at 9 o'clock. Okay, he hopes it will be on the American Rebellion blogger page. He's still working on that. There were some issues, and I'm not going to get into it because it's just won't get into it. But there were some issues, and it wasn't happening on the page. So he's working diligently to try to get it on the page. In the event that doesn't happen, once I know, because I'm usually on it, I will send everybody messages or a link to where you can watch wherever it is. You can always go over to X and search the AMRAB show or AMRAB show, and it will bring it up on your screen, and all you gotta do is touch on it or click on it, and it will take you right to where it is, and you can watch it there. There's a bunch of other places, but you want to watch it on X because we're going to show Alex Jones one day that 6,427,000 people are going to be watching the American Rebellion. And before we go on that, let's see, I'm going to highlight David Hubbell one more time. TGHIS, I'm not sure, 80s-year-old personal library, has lots of books on the founding of our nation, America First, and public-private schools is the New England Primer. So you can always page R. David Hummel, and he will share his vast knowledge with you on that. We'll also get him on the Boogie with the Bull Uncensored on Tuesday or Thursday night. So maybe we'll see if he can join us next Tuesday, and we'll go from there. Or we'll get him on to the American Rebellion, and we might talk about it over there. But that's the kind of stuff we do. We are on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We do include the Red Friday salute on Fridays, of course. And we're on Tuesdays, Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. A panel discussion. Everybody gets a chance to talk. If you want to come onto a broadcast, you are more than welcome. If you have never done this before, but you have a camera and you have a mic, get with me. If you want to come on, I will do a test with you just to show you how easy it is to be on, and you're more than welcome to be on with us. And if you enjoy it, you have a lot of fun doing it, well, then sometimes we get you kicked upstairs to the American Rebellion, where we're there. We did that with Chuck Cook, who joins us a lot. My cereal and milk just landed on my desk, so I got to end this so that I eat it before the milk goes sour, because sour milk on your cereal is no good. So I want to thank everybody for watching. Jerry Michaels watched, Gerard K. Michaels watched, R. David Hummel. I don't know whether or not to call him R or to call him David, so we'll find out from him, but you're more than welcome to come on, as I said, and join us and be part of the fun. Denise, Mama D, because I can't say Mama D's last name. I will butcher it too much, and I just don't want to do that. And my wife was looking at me like she has something that she has to say, so let me just say I thank everybody who watched. I got laundry I got to put away because she folded laundry while we were having all kinds of fun. So I'm going to go and do that. So double B's for victory. This Boogie with the Bull broadcast is going to come to an end. Hang on, let me just get over here. And this is the part of the program where I say you've been watching Boogie with the Bull. Red Friday Morning Caffeine. Took me a minute to remember it. A copyrighted presentation of the No Budget Broadcasting Company. Catch us tonight with Jerry Michaels, Nikki Young, and the whole crew on the American Rebellion. I will do my best to let you know before we go live at 7 o'clock where it's going to be, or once we go live at 7 o'clock, I will let you know where it is here on Facebook. But like I said, you can always go to X if you're an X member, or join X and search the AMRAB show or AMRAB show, and it will bring it right up on your screen, and click on it, and you can watch it, and you can be in the live chat there, and you'll have a good time. Anyway, I gotta go because I got day chores I have to do. So again, double B's for victory.